are so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burning Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Tuesday. Just got back from kind of a cold, windy Little League softball or Little League baseball game. My A's, the Yerington Walker River A's, are off to a slow start. We had them, then we lost them. I ended up losing our fifth straight, but we're making some progress, coming in there, and the boys are buzzing. And I'm gonna pull out the old bad news Bears speech. Who do we got next? Whoever it is, you know what that means? Bad news for whoever it is. Anyway, this is the Friggin Farm Ranch Report for Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, and again coming a little bit late, but I'm almost there. I swear, guys, I'm gonna be putting them out in the afternoon. I tried this afternoon. Didn't quite work out. But anyhow, let's get into the show. But before we do, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Lone Star Stockyards. They're in Wildorado, Texas. Got a sale every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time. I finished one off today. They had their regular sale today. We'll pull up the market report, see what we got. That was from last week. USDA report says they sold 1,501 head, 1,387, or just about 92%, a little over 92% feeder cattle. 35 head of slaughter cattle and 79 head of replacements. Compared to last week, feeder steers traded mostly $10 to $14 lower, which was in line with the large declines noted in the cattle futures over the past week. Feeder heifers were mostly weak to $4 lower, with the exception of six-weight heifers, which traded 5 to 10 higher. Quality was mostly plain to average, with the majority of supply consisting of plainer type cattle straight off of the short wheat. However, flesh conditions were mostly favorable. Slaughter cows and bulls too lightly tested for a market trend, but a lower undertone was noted. So that's the market report for this week there at Lone Star Stockyards. Go check them out there in Wildorado, just outside of Amarillo. They're on Atkinson Road, Atkinson. Call Bill Martin. He's the owner over there. 970-384 or 302-5834. And then we've got Sheldon Field is the yard manager, 806-736-0040. And then the office, 806-677-0777. And also, before we get into the show, we've got up there in north central Nebraska, off of Highway 20, the old reliable, that's Atkinson Livestock Market. Atkinson Livestock Market, the old reliable. They had their special bred cows in the pairs sale today, with nine. And then next week they got a special feeder calf auction with 9 a.m. weigh-ups, and noon with the start selling the feeders. Anyways, they're great people with a great barn, with real people bidding on real cattle, paying real money. And that is how price discovery works, and that's why we support our sale barns here on the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report. To find out any more, you can head over to AtkinsonLivestock.com. for Lone Star Stockyards as well, LoneStarStockyards.com. But Atkinson, call Wes Kilmurray. He's in charge over there, 402-340-4225. And then Austin Jarecki is the yard manager. So if you got any questions for them, for him, 402-340-8540. And with all of the sponsors, please make sure you let them know that you heard about them on the Friggin Farm Ranch Report on the Burning Daylight Network. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the show. All right, got Lone Star Stockyards done. And make sure you go like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff on social medias for me. And make sure, if anything, go to Substack. It's burningdaylight.substack.com. Sign up for a subscription over there. You get access to all the apps that I'm making, and you get better extra content from all the shows that I put out anyways. All right, let's get into it. So yesterday there was a fire lit under a story from the DOJ. The Wall Street Journal reported a criminal antitrust probe into Tyson, Cargill, JBS, and National Beef. Today that fire is still burning. But here's what's new. The cattle market put in its seventh session of selling off live cattle. June live cattle closed at 243.50, off another 257. That's down 850 from the April 15th record. And while the Fed cattleman is bleeding red ink on the screen, somebody out there is still writing big checks at the sale barn. OKC National ran 6,000 head on Monday. Joplin ran 8,553. And Beaver County Stockyards up in Oklahoma said the calf market was extremely strong right now, with 500-pound lean heifers sold at $503 a hundred. So running age pairs hit $4,700 a pair. Holy shit, that's a lot. And that's the dissonance of the market, of this market in one sentence. Futures are bleeding, and the country trade is still hot as a pistol. Then the box beef inversion we flagged yesterday is still inverted. Select traded over choice for a straight session, and crude came off the boil just a touch. West Texas index still at $90.88 a barrel. But yesterday's 7% panic is today's 4% follow through. We've got the Iran ceasefire window closing tomorrow night, and we'll touch on that, but we're not gonna let it eat the show. So we're going to spend some more time on today with the sale barn polls from coast to coast, some horse market results out of Fort Worth, a rural Americana segment that includes a story out of Jacksonville, Arkansas, a Kansas newspaper that'll make you smile a little bit, and then so we'll focus a little less on the drone footage coming out of the Middle East and focus a little more on dirt roads here in America. That's where we live, and that's what we care about. All right. All right, market flash. All right, let's run the board. Quick and dirty. June live cattle were 243.50, down 257, just over 1%. August live cattle were at 239.72, so that's down $1.85. And May feeder cattle's were at 358.60, is down 250. August feeder cattle's 359.02, same neighborhood there. June lean hogs were at 103.05. That was up $1.33. It was the best close in over a week for the hogs. July hogs were at 105.20, up $1.20. And then on the cash cattle side, last week's five area weighted average was 248.02, and early Kansas bids today were around 246. And the CME feeder index last printed Friday at 375.69. Okay. Let me find my grains tab. Where's my grains? Grains. There we go. All right. You know what a vegan zombie eats? Grains. There, you're welcome. May corn closed at 452 and a quarter. That was up 2 3/4 cents. May soybeans popped late on soybean oil strength, and they were up 9 to 11 cents. Last trade was around 11.75. And Chicago May wheat at 5.97. That was up 4 or 5 cents. And the Kansas City hard red winter May wheat was at 6.44 a bushel, up 9 cents, about a 1.5%. The Plains freeze damage puts a 30% good to excellent rating on, and 68% of the wheat acres are still in drought. Is finally waking Kansas up. So, and then on the energy and input side of things, West Texas crude for June was $90.88 a barrel. That was up 3.46 or nearly 4%. And then AAA says diesel's at 5.51 on the EIA weekly. So AAA says 5.51. EIA weekly says 5.40 a gallon. Either way, that sucks, and it sucks good and hard. DTN fertilizer weekly, the DAP was at 8.66 a ton. Urea is at 8.47 a ton. Potash at 4.89, and UAN 28 at 5.13. Anhydrous at $1,000.88 or $88. $1,088. The new DTN number drops tomorrow. Okay, on the rates and the metals side of things, tighten up my window here, slide it right over in here, and here we go. All right, the Fed fund rate is anywhere from 3.50 to 3.75, 3.5 to 3.75. Fed Watch has 100% hold next Tuesday. Prime rate is 6.75%, and the 10-year Treasury is at 4.29%, up 4 basis points. And June gold is at $47.5960. That's down $69, about 1.5%. May silver's at 78.71 an ounce, down $1.22. And so the metals are giving back some of yesterday's safe haven bid. So that's the flash that we got so far. Let's dive in a little bit deeper on the cattle and beef. All right, so back to the big one. It was a 7th straight session of selling in fat cattle. June live cattle are at 243.50, down 8.50 off of the April 15th record. That's correction territory by any definition. But what's driving it when the fundamentals say that the supply is tight? And 2 things are on the news today. And one is the DOJ probe is now 48 hours old, and the headline risk is real. Packers stocks, JBS USA and Tyson traded down again today. And when the regulatory picture is murky, speculators sell futures first, and then they ask questions later. And 2, and this is one that nobody's really talking a whole lot about, the consumer check is finally arriving at the table. Choice beef is at $9 a pound ground, $22 a pound for ribeyes. And we've been saying for 6 months that the consumer was going to push back at some point. Walmart's inside line team is reportedly asking Packers for rollback on 85.15 ground beef. And that's the first real demand crack of the cycle. All right. And then on the box beef side, still there. Ba-bum. No, I don't know where we're looking at. Not there. We'll come back. Okay. So on the box beef side, the inversion we flagged yesterday is still in place. This morning, choice was at 387.05, and select's at 389.06. So the second session select has run above choice, and the composite cutout for the week ending April 17th was $3.90.15. That was down about $4.71 week over week, but still up $54 from a year ago. But the twist is demand for lean middle meats is hot because the grass-fed tiers and steakhouse select programs are pulling hard. There's so much choice grade carcass moving through the chain, with over 75% grading choice now, that select has become the scarce SKU, or the barcode. It's a weird market, and packer margins like it. The rancher doesn't care because he's selling to the packer anyways, and that's not a good way to say that. Ranchers making money right now, but it's the first time in a long time that they've had a chance to actually, put a dent in some of their debt and everything that they've accumulated over these bad years. All right, let's talk about the cattle on feed. Is that here? Where is? All right, yeah, cattle on feed numbers. So a refresher, because it still does matter, on the April 17th release, on feed was 11.576 million, down 1%, and the placements were at 1.709%. That was down 7%, and the second lowest March placements since 1996. Cattle market is 1.63 million. That was down another 6%. It's friendly on paper, but the market doesn't care because the DOJ dust cloud is taller than the market fundamentals. It's kind of how everything is right now. It's a good cattle market, but it all gets overshadowed, or the profits get ate up because of the war going on over in Iran, or because of the screw worm deal, or just because of inputs in general. It just eats away at everything. All right, so the slaughter and pace supply, week to week slaughter through Saturday was about 514,000 head, down 11% year over year, and the U.S. herds at a 73-year low. Mexican feeder import ban is still in force. Call it a 1.2 million head off of the supply line, and the tight story doesn't get less tight. One thing we are going to sunset today is the JBS Greeley strike. The contract was ratified on April 12th. The plant's running, and the backlog runs through the summer. The story's pretty much over and done with. Like they made their deal. The plant's up and running, and so that's kind of the end and short of that. I'm sure JBS will be in the news, but most likely not for a labor dispute, at least for the near future. All right, let's get into the sale barn pulse, and then the horse market pulse as well. So I've done this a little bit before, but I'm going to make this more of a recurring segment because it's I don't know, I enjoy it. I think it's happened. It helps me get an idea of how cattle are moving around the country. So what's happened at the sale barn on the ground this week? There in Wildorado, Lone Star Stockyards, 1,501 head. That was up from the 1,241 last week, and that was up from 1,168 the week before. Feeder heifers last week from 5-7 weights were 15 to 20 higher, and then this week they're about 5 to 10 higher. Maybe it's, but is that what they said? 5 to 10 higher? Feeder steers were 10 to 14 lower. Feeder heifers were $4 lower, except for the 6-weight heifers, which traded 5 to 10 higher. So there was a big Coriani cross consignment last week that pulled quality mixed, but slaughter cows and bulls were $5 to $10 higher on the stronger demand. Bred cows on the young 2 to 4 year olds brought 34 to 35.50 a head. Running age pairs ages 5 to 8 moved 3,700 to 3,800. Older cows, 8 or more years old, a little over $2,000, 2,050 to 2,150. So that's kind of the Texas Panhandle and a snapshot. On the Oklahoma National Stockyards yesterday, excuse me. All right. On Monday, April 20th, 6,000 head moved through Oklahoma National Stockyards. That was up from 4,859 the week before. 900 to 1,000-pound steers came in at $2 to $4 lower. Feeder heifers were also 2 to 4 lower across the board, and the standout were the 4 to 5 weight steers that brought from anywhere from 562 to 612 average 100 weight and averaging at 583 100. That's still a really hot calf number. Heifer calves the same weight brought 480 to 527. Quality mostly was average, but the demand was good because but buyers are starting to get a little picky. There in El Reno, OKC West. Today we had 2,150 head, a small run compared to last week's almost 8,000. Steer and heifer calves traded 10 to 15 lower, and the only bright spot there was the 500-pound heifers, and they were $5 higher. Two buyers with strong orders for that class. 35% of the run of that run was unweaned, and Chicago Mercantile Exchange futures down again kept some of the buyers sitting on the sideline entirely. And the Joplin Regional Stockyards there in Missouri on Monday brought 8,553 head. Year over year receipts up 75%. Holy shit. Light 300 to 350 pound steers moved at 640 to $700 a hundred. And your bread and butter 6 to 650s brought 370 to 452, and that was your benchmark. There in Kansas at Salina on the 16th, they brought 4,748 head, and that was the biggest run in Kansas so far this spring. Prior sales steers over 600 pounds were up $5 to $20, and the heifers were the same story. There in Beaver County, at Beaver County Stockyards there in Oklahoma on the 14th, this one was kind of a head turner. There was 7,600 head total. 533 pound lean heifers at $503 dollars a hundred. 621 pound feeder steers at 463. Run and age pairs were up to $4,700 a head. Run and age bred cows at 4,075. And the yard manager's quote is extremely strong right now. And that's the on ground reality that doesn't really show up on the futures screen. All right, let's flip over to the horse side of things. I'm sure some of you guys are interested. This is from my A Man About a Horse app. If you guys like to see a man about a horse, but go sign up at Substack, burningdaylight.substack.com, or send me a text. I'll shoot you over a deal, and it's $20 a month unless you go sign up at Substack, and you get a little discount. All right, so the NCHA Super Stakes and Spring Catalog Sales Horse Market. The NCHA Super Stakes wrapped up April 13th in Fort Worth. 26 days at Will Rogers and the Watt Arena, and a couple of results worth knowing. A 4-year-old Open Classic champion, Red and Milds, is a mare by Metallic Ray Mink out of One Red Mist, ridden by Michael Cooper and owned by Wheeler Dealer Cutting Horses out of Weatherford. Had a final score of 223.5, a paycheck of $77,514. 5 to 6 year old Open Classic champion LBR Hangham. Barn name was Shoddy. He's a dual rayish out of Hangham High Pep. Kenny Platt is in the saddle, owned by Solo Select Horses. Marked a 228 in the finals. Career earnings now over $460,000, making him an NCHA Hall of Famer. Platt had 4 horses back in that final, which is its own story. And on the non-pro side, Dragon It, ridden by Emma Grace Rapp, scored 219 to take her first major non-pro title in the 4-year-old non-pro Derby. The Lone Star Spring Catalog Horsedale sale at Wildorado on April 11th had 130-plus head across ranch horses, rope horses, barrel prospects, ewes and gildings, and the top seller was JD Panhandle Rebel at $24,500. Centuria Cat at 21,000. HF Big Ticket and BFR Gunman and Box Cutter Benji all at $20,000. Solid ranch quality gelding market. The Heritage Place winter mixed sales, still the benchmark number, averaged 21,106. A horse with an 85% sell through. The top seller, Holy Guacamole, at 300 grand to Mike Grisham at Dunn Ranch. The NR, excuse me. Been out in the wind. The NRHA Derby is next, the June 8th through the 21st in Oklahoma City. We'll be watching that. There's supposed to be like a big barrel horse race that we're also going to keep an eye on, and mostly to help update a man about a horse sale data and give the market insights a little better snapshot of the horse market in general. So this is something we're watching pretty closely, even though I personally have no interest in barrel horses, none whatsoever. Doesn't mean that somebody else isn't. So we're going to keep an eye on it and make this app better for everybody that may use it, including myself. All right, so let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the energy inputs and energy side of things. Where's that? Well, we'll just leave it right there for now. But all right, so on the energy, West Texas holds $90 crude. The June West Texas was at $90.88, up $3.46 a barrel, nearly 4%. Brent crude's at $95.48 a barrel, and that's day two of the Iran spike. 2-day move in West Texas is over 10%. It's not demand; that's all geopolitics. On the diesel watch, AAA's national average is at $5.51 a gallon. EIA's weekly on highway prints at $5.40, so that's down 20 cents from last week. But that drop was before the Iran ceasefire, or before this latest, breaking of the ceasefire. Next week's numbers will reflect the reality of $90 crude. Truckers running long haul. Every dime on diesel is roughly a penny a mile that they're adding to their freight. So expect the freight rate hikes by next Monday. On the fertilizer side, we talked about that. So DAP is $8.66 a ton, urea is $8.47, potash $4.89. And UAN 28 is $5.13, and anhydrous at $1,088. New DTN weekly drops tomorrow, so watch urea in particular, because the Middle East disruption flows through Gulf ammonia capacity, and if the Persian Gulf ammonia shipments get held up, that $8.47 a ton urea has a floor under it pretty much all summer. We talked about the rates and all that. So let's get into the war reel. Keep it kind of quick. So the ceasefire is supposed to expire tomorrow. So tomorrow evening, DC time, but, and this is a big but, and not like the pitcher, who indeed has a big butt. But Donald Trump posted on Truth Social earlier this afternoon a statement of President Donald J. Trump, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, We've been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or another. President Donald J. Trump. So I guess the ceasefire is back on. I've not looked at any new data since that came out. That was about 1:30 Pacific time. 1:09 Pacific time is when he posted that. So I haven't done any digging on that to see how that's all holding up. All right, so then JD Vance was supposed to be in Islamabad, but Iran said they're not going. And so JD's still in Washington. Iran hasn't named any negotiators, and Pakistan's getting embarrassed waiting at the Serena Hotel. And I think Pakistan's in a world of hurt. I mentioned that yesterday, but I believe they get a lot of their energy supply from the Persian Gulf. Pakistan's getting embarrassed. Blah, blah, blah. Trump yesterday told reporters, quote, I expect to be bombing. Asked about Wednesday, he said, we'll see what happens. That is not really a confidence-building statement. And the direct ag impact is what matters for the ranch and not cable news. The Strait of Hormuz tanker traffic is at roughly 20% of normal. Ship insurance on the Persian Gulf routes are up 180% in 48 hours. Urea ships out of the Persian Gulf ports. A lot of urea ships out of the Persian Gulf or out of the Arabian Gulf ports. And if these ports get shut down or delayed, our 847 retail urea number becomes a floor and not a ceiling for the summer. Diesel pump price is the other direct transmission. $90 crude translates to $570 to $590 a gallon diesel prices at the pump in about 3 weeks. Every penny a mile matters when you're hauling cattle 400 miles to a feedlot or to the sale. And I'm not going to really talk too much on the tanker, the Tuska, or the Houthis or Odessa. Yesterday's episode kind of covered most of that. And if this ceasefire holds, you can expect oil and diesel to go down. But if it don't and shit pops off again, we'll cover this a little more in depth tomorrow. So, all right. Let's talk about 6 stories from flyover country. This a segment that we're gonna focus on a little more. So this is kind of hopefully this is what we cover where a lot of your other farm and ranch reports don't. So one in Montana, it was the 96th state FFA convention wrapped up on April 4th in Great Falls. 8 new state officers elected from chapters across the state, and the North Dakota FFA wrapped their 2026 proficiency awards on the same week. So the next generation of agriculturists, as we say in the FFA, is they're showing up and they're doing some cool stuff. And 2, so Wisconsin, the Food Hub Cooperative, there's a farmer-owned co-op out of Wapaka. Just landed a $250,000 USDA grant to put locally grown grab-and-go vegetable packets into Wisconsin school lunchrooms and childcare centers. It was a small grant with direct impact. Farm to school for Wisconsin's finest. That's a pretty cool story. I'd like to see more of that coming. And with RFK at the helm, he is kind of a little bit of a kooky monkey, but he also, I think he understands that we got to change how we do food around these parts. All right, and then so this one is This one's one will make you a little bit mad, but the USDA terminated 49 out of 50 projects under the ILCMA program, and that's the Increasing Land, Capital, and Market Access Initiative. $300 million allocated to it. The agency's only dedicated program for beginning farmer and young rancher land access. And they kept one project out of 50. The National Young Farmers Coalition is calling it out. Farmland's already at anywhere from $4 to $8 million to buy 500 acres in the Corn Belt. And then you pull the land access ladder up behind you. You don't get a next generation. You just get more big corporate outfits. And that's math. That's not politics. That's just math. And I'm not a big fan of government programs, but can we not take 300 million out of the billions that we send overseas and save it for something to keep us growing food here in the U.S.? That seems like it'd be if we're gonna spend tax money, that seems to be like a better place to spend it. Okay, and then rural healthcare is another one that we're that we have on the list today. Unity Health shut down the emergency room at its Jacksonville, Arkansas hospital on April 15th, and that's the only hospital inside city limits. 3 years after it opened, sick people they only make you money for so long, and then they're no longer sick. They're dead, and then they don't make you any more money. Rural ER closures. This is kind of a pattern. 150 plus rural hospitals have closed since 2010, and it keeps on going. And it's not just Mississippi and Oklahoma. It's Arkansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, Colorado, Kansas, Nevada. If you're lucky enough to be in farm and ranch country, you gotta accept the fact that if you got a heart attack at 2 a.m., you may not make it because you're a ways from a hospital. All right, so continuing on that note, on the mental health side of things, rural mental health, Nebraska Rural Response Hotline, founded in 1984, during the last big farm crisis, is seeing a surge in calls. National Farmers Union President John Hanson called the current financial pressure on producers, quote, the worst since the 80s. If you know someone out there who's hurting, pick up the phone. University of Wisconsin-Madison just published a write-up on Farmwell, Wisconsin, a 5-year, 1,200-person Safe Talk suicide prevention program. The good news is people are doing the work, and the bad news is that, well, they still have to. All right, so we'll leave you with one kind of a happier story on the rural America front. And this goes over in Kansas. So the Council Grove Republican in Council Grove, Kansas, population 2,200. This is a newspaper that has been printing continuously since 1872. It's 4 days a week, 800 subscribers, and still delivered by paper boys and paper girls. Owner Jan Siaka came back to Council Grove in 2021 specifically to save the newspaper from outside buyers. NPR ran a feature on Sunday about small towns and their newspapers. It's NPR, so take it with a grain of salt. They're a bunch of progressive hacks, but still pretty cool that they're shining the light on it. So there's still people willing to fight for rural newspapers, and that's the kind of story we'll keep telling. I'm a big fan of just rural community news and communication in general. All right. Did we cover policy already? No, we did not. Here we go. All right, on the policy and macro side, the Farm Bill amendment deadline is tomorrow. They're due on the floor. The floor debate is slated for the week of April 27th, and Senator Chuck Grassley, told Politico yesterday that the bill, quote, has problems, and specifically pesticide preemption and livestock law preemption. If the Farm Bill slips past Memorial Day, we're looking at another extension of the 2023 Farm Bill into fiscal 2027. That leaves reference prices frozen, dairies on fumes, and disaster via supplementals. But same song, but this is the Stairway to Heaven version, and we're on the 15th verse. All right, and so the CCC and tariffs. Where is that? There we go. Secretary Rollins and the CCC. Rollins publicly called this week for Commodity Credit Corporation borrowing authority to go from $30 billion to $50 billion. Appropriations hearings are next week. What gets paid first if the cap does go up? That's market facilitation, disaster, and ECAP. And that's the question. That is the question for the room. Which gets paid first if the cap does go up? On tariff side, 232 steel and aluminum still embedded in ag equipment. John Deere's already admitted a 3% price pass through on small combines, and USTR is in active negotiation on Japan beef. The current rate is 38.5%, with the target to be sub 20%. Deal is rumored to be slated for a Q3. And then on land financialization, institutional investors such as pension funds, REITs, and sovereign wealth funds now hold 4.3 million acres of U.S. farmland. Has tripled since 2012. Corn Belt values are up 87% since 2012. Cash rents are eating 35 to 40% of gross revenue. And land, it isn't just the land that's expensive, it's financialized. And we've talked about the USDA killing the one program that was going to help young producers compete. So, yeah, connect the dots there. All right. Let's land this bitch, huh? We'll talk about where are we at? Okay. So, as far as the market tone and the recap, live cattle is very bearish. Feeders kind of bearish at the moment. Lean hogs getting a little bit of a bull wind. Cash cattle is either neutral or soft. Box beef is very bullish, and crude oil very bullish based on geopolitics. Gold and silver backed off a little bit and making a little bit of a bearish market. All right, let's bring it home. Bring it home. On this day in history, April 21st, 1836 was the Battle of San Jacinto. Sam Houston and about 800 Texians went up against Santa Anna. 18 minutes of fighting, and Texas independence was won. Ranchers, immigrants, and horsemen against a professional army. Professionals, I mean, definitely, yes, it was professional, but very good, meh. That's all well and good. We won. We beat them fair and square. And the San Jacinto Monument, San Jacinto, on that battlefield today is taller than the Washington Monument. And on April 21st, 1878, the first firehouse pole is installed in Chicago. Captain David Kenyon got tired of his men running down the stairs. The pole shaved 30 seconds off the response time, and it was a small innovation but a giant legacy. And on April 21st, 1918, the Red Baron, or Manfred von Richthofen, was shot down over the Somme. He had 80 confirmed kills, and he was buried with full military honors by the enemy that killed him. It was a different century and a different war. In 1980, on April 21st, Rosie Ruiz wins the Boston Marathon. But she took the subway halfway and got caught. The title was stripped, and still one of the great American scams. I'm ashamed she got away with it, or didn't get away with it. Almost had it. In 1986, Geraldo Rivera opened Al Capone's vault on live TV. It was 2 hours blocked off on prime time. It was an empty room with 40 million viewers and nothing in the safe. Rosie Ruiz and Geraldo on the same day in history. What do you know about that? On the sports side of thing, the NBA playoffs are in full swing now. The Hawks have tied the Knicks at a game apiece. Cavs are up 2-0 on Orlando. And the Wolves even with the Lakers at 1-1. Celtics, Sixers, Spurs, Blazers, Lakers, Rockets are played tonight. On the MLB side, the Dodgers are still smoking hot. The Yankees have come back down to earth a little bit. The Astros are on a 4-game skid. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Astros, the Rangers, the A's have a road trip against the Rangers starting Thursday. I think that's right. Anyway, we got they beat Seattle 4-2 tonight, taking the series, going for the sweep tomorrow. Got the brooms out, boys. Got the brooms out. Still holding a half-game lead in the American League West. All right. I think that's all I've got for you today. Please make sure you go check out our partners and sponsors there of this show, LoneStarStockyards.com and AtkinsonLivestock.com, the old reliable. Please go check them out. Tell them you heard about them on the Burnin' Daylight podcast on the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report. Please go follow, like, subscribe, rate, review. Send some cash if you want. I don't give a shit. But yeah, please go follow all of that and tune in again tomorrow. And hopefully I'll have it live in the afternoon. Still working on my studio, but if this recording works, I think you'll find out that this thing's pretty cool. Anyhow, that's all I got. Now move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horses kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right. Just together, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right.